On Wednesday, the House Policy and Education Committees held a public hearing on the proposed Keystone exams, formerly known as the Graduation Competency Assessments. Let's recap the hearing with Education Task Force Co-Chairman, State Representative Bernie O'Neill from the 29th Legislative District. Representative, let's talk about briefly what the Keystone exams are and what they are not.
Basically what they are, they're 10 exams that the Department of Education through an outside contractor are developing for our students in our public high schools to take. They will replace the final exams in key core subjects. But the idea behind these are that you must pass the exam 6 out of the 10 in order to receive your diploma. Unlike a normal final of a class, you could pass all 4 marking periods and fail the final and still pass the course. Well, you can pass the course, but if you do not pass this exam, you won't graduate.
As a former teacher, you've been on the front lines here, and the question a lot of people are asking you is, do students need more tests?
Well, I don't know if it's whether they need more testing. I always tell everybody it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And that's what the problem is here. I don't necessarily oppose to the concept of having these exams, because what it would do is kind of tie curriculum throughout the state. But my problem is twofold. Number one, we already have the PSSA test, which we need to meet No Child Left Behind, and we're required by federal law to do that. So now you're adding tests on top of that. So that's why people are really upset about having more exams. The fact that these would replace the final exam, and the final exam would be pretty much coordinated throughout the state, I'm not really totally against. But my big problem is, and this would have happened to me as a teacher, they're putting the cart before the horse. The test is driving curriculum. Had I done that as a teacher and had a test, devise a test, and then have that drive curriculum, and I've written curriculum for my school district, I wouldn't have been looked at very favorably as a very good teacher, because what you do is you drive curriculum. And then from the curriculum, you drive your mechanisms that you're going to be using to see whether the students are grasping and learning what they're doing, as well as whether the teacher or the system is working. And whether that, and those tests can also tell that. So tests aren't just to tell what the student's doing, it's supposed to be telling what's going on in the classroom and within the schools.
Now, to his credit, Education Secretary Zahorzhik did show up for the hearing, defended the Keystone exams. What did you think of his testimony?
Well, I was disappointed. Not necessarily him personally. I was disappointed in the fact that it was 45 minutes. This is one of the most critical issues that has faced our school system here in Pennsylvania in many a year, and a 45-minute hearing. I didn't even get to ask any questions, and I don't think anyone at the hearing has my background. I believe I'm the only one at the hearing who even has ever even administered the PSSA test and has written curriculum. And I had some very very concrete questions for him about this, and I didn't even have an opportunity to answer them. And I believe that, and he tried to justify what he was doing because he's trying to do it through the regulatory system. However, I think something like this, requires, the secretary to be there for more than 45 minutes.
We have about a minute remaining. How does this test still remain on the books, even though the PSEA is against it, and also there's legislation out there from last session that also blocks this from ever happening?
Well, it's through the regulatory system. The Department of Education has the authority through the regulatory system, which has been set up by the legislative body, to give the Department of Education the ability to regulate certain things, and that's what they're going through. The sad part about the regulatory system is that the Education Committee in the House and the Education Committee in the Senate, the only thing they have to do is be able to give feedback. So they would present the regulatory to us, and we give them feedback and questions, and they would answer our questions, but it doesn't stop them or correct anything or force the Department of Education to change anything. It's a really hot top subject going on in our schools right now. And I think that it should go through the legislative process right now instead of the regulatory process.
If you have questions or comments on this topic or any legislative issue, Representative O'Neill's contact information will be on the screen in just a second. We also should tell you, if you did not get a chance to see the hearing, you can watch it also through his website as well. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with State Representative Bernie O'Neill.